I'm Joyner with Unbelievable Acres here in West Palm Beach, and today we're going to show you a little bit about how to graft a fruit tree, specifically an avocado. And of course it's fun to start avocados at home with the seed on the windowsill and a little jar of water with toothpicks, but eventually it gets big enough you might want to plant it outside, and rather than have a seedling, graft the tree and then you'll have fruit a little bit better quality and a lot quicker too. When you're doing grafting though, it's important to have the right types of tools. One thing you need is a good grafting knife. If you don't have a grafting knife, you can use a box cutter, a single-edged razor blade, or I've seen people use even a good sharp linoleum knife. So there's a lot of different things you can use, but it needs to be something sharp enough to make a nice smooth cut. Also, you need to make sure that you have a pair of pruning shears when you go out to collect your graft wood, so you cut a piece and get it to the right size. And with avocados, usually the best graft wood is on the tip of the branch. I've got a branch here to show you what a typical avocado looks like. And the best place to get your graft wood is probably the last 3 to 4 inches. So the very end of a small branch, not a big branch, usually anywhere between the drinking straw thickness and pencil thickness would be the ideal size. Now when you are collecting graft wood, you need to make sure too that it's the same size as the plant is going to be put onto for best results. This little seedling you see is not very big in diameter, and something that's this big you can see isn't really going to be the same match. So you want to get out closer to the end where the wood is smaller diameter, and then that would match up a little bit better. And I've cut several pieces. This is a piece here about the ideal size. And so if you see next to the stem there, it's just about the same size diameter, which when you do your cut will make a good match that will heal quickly. And again, you don't want too long of a piece, 3 to 4 inches. And once you cut it, then remove most of the leaves. You don't have to take off all the leaves because they are necessary to help it speed healing. Some people, if it's a big leaf like avocado, will cut half of it away. And so you can take and leave a 1 or 2 on, but reduce the size of them so that you have a piece about this size, which would be the ideal size for doing your grafting. And when you're doing your grafting, you want to get up on the nice straight section of stem that's not bent or curved or crooked. If it is, it's harder to match these up. So when you have your seedling, then your piece you're going to use for graft wood should be about 3 inches, sometimes 4 inches, but you don't want it excessively long because sometimes it takes longer to heal than what you'd like. And then you make a nice smooth cut, the whole length or 3/4 of the length. So this is what you end up with, a nice smooth cut. And then on this little seedling you make a cut the same length and about the same thickness. So you want one about the same length. You see these are just about perfect so far as matching up. Then most people use plastic tape to wrap the graft. You can use rubber bands, or you can use paraffin tape. There's a lot of different types of things you can use as wrapping material. But the key thing is you get them lined up. So if they're the same diameter, that makes it a lot easier. And then when you wrap this, make sure that it goes around several times to get it started, and then wrap it all the way up, overlapping at about 50% on each wrap. And as you go up, you may have to wiggle it a little bit from one side to the other to make sure that you've got this ideally matched, not only on one side, but both sides, because the healing takes place on those edges of those cut surfaces, not in the middle. And if they don't heal, then this is not going to survive. Once you've gotten it all the way up, almost to where you left the leaves on, and you're sure that it's very firm, then you can just simply loop it back under, and that's all you need for the finished graft. Now once you've done this, If you want to keep this from further dehydration, some people will put a piece of plastic over it, or you can use something like Glad wrap. And I'm going to use a piece of Glad wrap just to illustrate a quick, easy way to do that. This molds to it also, so it makes it easier to so it might look a little strange, but it does work. And the purpose of this is to keep it from drying out. And then put this in a shaded area. In about 3 or 4 days you can take the wrap off. That's just critical for the first 2 or 3 days to prevent dehydration. And after that you can remove this. After 3 to 4 weeks, if the graft is successful, it will begin to grow. Once you see any sign of growth coming out, and let's pretend it's already grafted and started out, once you see this starting to grow, then your seedling up here, you don't want that anymore, because this part here is the one you want to become the new tree. So this can be either bent over. Some people will just bend it over a little bit like this. Other people will cut it off altogether. And so if you want to cut it off, but I like to wait until this is really well on its way to growing before I take the whole top off. If for some reason this starts to grow and then stops and dies, then if you got the top still on here, you can go ahead and put a second graft on and keep doing it more than one time. So once you cut this top off, pretty much that's the end of it. So you can't regraft it as easily. This graft within 1 year will grow out about 12 to 15 inches or more. The second year it will produce fruit. So you can get a nice fruit from your own graft within the second year after it's completed.